Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my review of Syfy's Van Helsing, which just aired the first two episodes this past Friday night. I want to apologize for the lateness of this review, but I've been working the midnight shift at work for the past week or so it is kind of tricky to get caught up on shows like this and Z Nation, as well as watch shows I've been getting into, like Supernatural, Shameless, Arrow, things like that. I did my review for Z Nation, and like I said, the Van Helsing, they aired their first two episodes, Friday night, but they did air the very first episode a couple months ago as like a preview to promote the show and such. So I did already review the very first episode, a little while ago, so you guys can look that up on my channel if you want to hear my thoughts on the first episode specifically. This video is going to be more focused on the second episode, which was called Seeing You. And I gotta say, I really, really liked it. I actually wish I would have gotten the review out sooner. Of course, with it being on Syfy, of course, there's comparisons to like Z Nation, Winona Earp, and stuff like that. But I really think they're very different animals. Z Nation is very good for what it does. The more over the top, comedic, kind of take on the zombie genre, whereas Van Helsing seems to be pretty self-serious. So I think they can be enjoyed in their own ways and such. And, looking at some other reviews it got for the first two episodes, like with IGN, people are just giving this way too much crap. I really enjoyed the first two episodes, especially the second episode here. I really don't see anything drastically wrong with it at all, really. I think it's off to a pretty good, interesting start. The only thing I can really complain about a little, I guess, is it's still not overly original so far, but it is better at attempting what it's going for than some other things I've seen. I'll give it that. The acting, it's honestly getting a little bit better for me. I was kind of questioning it in the first episode, but I really liked what the second episode did here. And that was sort of establish more of a backstory and a background, really served as our prologue, to what we've seen in the actual first episode. And it's kind of weird the order they put it in. This episode definitely felt like more of the first episode. Like I said, it serves as more of a prologue to what we see in what was technically the first episode. Because we see the background with Vanessa and her daughter. We've seen not exactly what happened to her, but we see more of how their relationship was, as well as their relationship with the father, and we've seen how Vanessa was attacked and put into that sort of like between death and alive thing in the first place. Then we also meet some of the more ancient or older vampires with I think his name was Dimitri, and I forget the girl's name, Rebecca maybe. They seem to be like our two big bads for the series. And Dimitri, or whoever, I forget if his name was Dimitri, but the almost like Dracula-like guy, he comes off sort of like that type of character. And Rebecca, she's kind of creepy in her own right. But I really like this episode, and I think it should have been aired first, I think it's really helping me care a little bit more, I think. I do like Kelly Overton's acting. I do think she does a pretty good job. And, we've seen how much she cares about her daughter, and then we see her sort of defend her friend from her abusive boyfriend, which is, kind of a cool scene. Although we've seen, tough female characters do that a lot lately with, Jessica Jones, or, so we've seen, characters like this before, but I still think Kelly Overton's acting is pretty good on the show so far. And I do think it helped us to invest a little bit more in their relationship, with the fact that we got to see their bond together, at least for a little bit. I don't think we needed to see as much background as we did with some of the other stuff, like the military movements and such, because they already kind of established their situation in the first episode. But it did get me to care a little bit more about the doc. The woman who we've seen was already turned in the first episode. We've seen what she was dealing with, as well as her initial panic and such. But she also seemed to have knowledge of this, I forget what they're called, this group she mentioned that the military seemed wary of. I don't know if it's like an Illuminati type of thing or what. But with in the present time, Vanessa is now woken up, of course, at the end of the first episode, before we go back in the second. So I'm wondering if Vanessa might actually feed Doc her blood and maybe turn her back. Then again, it's been a while since I've seen the first episode, so I don't know if they killed off Doc in vampire form yet or not. I kind of forget. It's been a while since I've watched it, but I do really like the second episode, and I don't really see why people are giving it so much trouble. I don't really know. But my favorite scene of the whole episode, though, is probably when one of the vampires was sent after Vanessa, and she attacks Vanessa in her apartment as her daughter watches. And I'm still kind of surprised by the amount of blood Syfy's letting it show here. It did get sort of gory in a way, with the bite marks and some of the wounds and such. We also see this guy who had fed on bagged blood from Vanessa at the beginning of the episode. He was turned back into a human, of course, because her blood is able to do that for some reason. Then we've seen how he was tortured a little bit later, and his body is hanging there. His arms are severed and his legs, and just pretty much dismembered. So I'm surprised that Syfy is able to show that much of it. But hey, I'm not complaining because I'm a big horror, gore fan. So I'm glad that they're able to show at least a pretty good amount of it. Yeah, my favorite scene is when Vanessa was attacked in an apartment, because we know she's obviously not dead, or at least not dead for good at this point. But still, just to see her daughter sort of mourn her already, it's different to see the main character in that big of a fatal condition, So it did sort of, made me a little upset to see that, even though I just met these characters. So it definitely did strengthen the idea of Vanessa eventually finding her daughter, hopefully anyway. We still don't know much about Vanessa's history or background, or if she was aware at all of being the daughter of Abraham Van Helsing, because she doesn't go by Vanessa Van Helsing. She goes by Vanessa. I forget what her last name was, but it seemed like she was a little more aware of something else going on. But at the same time, she didn't really seem to know what to do. The vampire attacked her right away. It didn't seem like she was really ready for it. So I'm curious to see how much she actually knows about herself, really. But really based on the first episode as well, when her wound healed and such, it didn't seem like she was used to that either, so I don't know. And Axel, I still don't really care much about his character, to be honest, but I do like the setup in the bunker and such. It gives a nice claustrophobic feel to it. And so I do hope... Again, I forget if the Doc character was killed in the first episode or not, but if she was, then I would like her to be turned back into a human, because I thought the actress was doing a pretty good job. And I feel like we need a secondary female character to sort of be there for Vanessa, sort of have that friendship maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I really did like this episode, and I think it does deserve a little more credit. I think it's definitely worth checking out at the very least. And I think I'll give this episode about a 7.8 or an 8.2 out of 10, I think. Let me know what you guys thought about both of the episodes, but especially the second episode, Seeing You, and if you plan on watching more of the show. And if there's anything in the episode I forgot to mention that you want to hear my thoughts on, feel free to leave a comment below. I'd love to talk about more with you guys. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.